Hey guys, picture this. You wake up at 4 in the morning, not to an alarm, but to the sound of a horse relieving itself 3 meters from your head. The air smells like dust mixed with manure, and last night's beans are still rumbling in your stomach. Your back aches like you've been hit by a truck as you've just been sleeping on hard wood for 6 months straight. Your clothes haven't been washed in so long they could scare off pigs. There's grit in your teeth, your boots are full of blisters, and breakfast is going to be more beans. If you think your job is hard, try spending 16 hours a day on a saddle that feels like sitting on a wooden plank covered in sandpaper, while the sun bakes you like a potato and flies treat your face like a landing strip. If you're enjoying this, hit that like button and subscribe for more historical stories. I'm genuinely curious to know where you're watching from, so leave me a comment telling me where you are and what time it is right now. So let's step into the world of a cowboy and find out exactly why you wouldn't last a single week. Let's start with your sleeping arrangements, because you're going to need rest after the kind of day you're about to have. Except you're not getting rest. Not real rest. You're sleeping on the ground. Not camping trip with an air mattress ground. Actual dirt. Hard, lumpy, full of rocks dirt that seems to have been specifically designed to find every sensitive part of your spine and press into it like a thumbtack. Your bed is a bedroll, which is basically a glorified blanket that you wrap yourself in like a sad burrito. It's thin, it's scratchy, and it smells like every cowboy who's used it before you, which is a lot. Imagine the mustiest towel you've ever forgotten in a gym bag, then multiply that by 100 and add a dash of campfire smoke and horse. You're sleeping outside, obviously. There's no bunkhouse unless you're incredibly lucky and happen to be near a ranch. Most of the time you're out on the range, which means you're under the stars. Sounds romantic until you realize the stars come with freezing cold nights, howling wind, and the constant worry that a rattlesnake might fancy sharing your body heat. The temperature drops fast once the sun goes down. During the day you're being roasted alive, sweating through every layer you own. At night you're shivering so hard your teeth chatter like a wind-up toy. There's no happy medium. You either bake or freeze, and sometimes you do both in the same 12-hour period. Let's talk about your blanket situation. You get 1, maybe 2 if you're fortunate. They're wool, which is warm but also incredibly itchy. It's like wrapping yourself in a carpet. A dirty carpet that hasn't been cleaned since the previous decade. The fibers poke into your skin all night. You wake up with red marks all over your arms and neck. And if it rains, which it does occasionally, that wool gets wet and suddenly weighs about as much as a small person. Wet wool smells like a damp dog that's been rolling in something unpleasant. You can't escape it because it's wrapped around you. You just lie there, cold, damp, and surrounded by stench, waiting for morning. Speaking of rain, let's discuss what happens when the weather turns. You don't have a tent. Tents are expensive and heavy, and you're already carrying everything you own on your horse. When it rains, you pull your hat down low, tuck your blanket over your head, and hope for the best. You will get wet. Extremely wet. Water runs down your neck, soaks into your shirt, and pools in your boots. Your socks become squishy. Your trousers cling to your legs like a second skin. Everything you own is now damp, and it's going to stay damp for days because there's no chance to dry anything properly. You'll be riding around in wet clothes, which chafe in places you didn't know could chafe. Your inner thighs are going to be raw, your underarms are going to be irritated, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it except keep going. Now, let's discuss the wildlife that shares your sleeping space. Insects love you. Mosquitoes, flies, ants, beetles, spiders, and things you can't even identify in the dark. They crawl on you all night. You feel little legs tickling across your face, your hands, your neck. You wake up covered in bites. Your ankles are dotted with red bumps that itch like crazy. You scratch them, which makes them worse, and then they get irritated and sore. You've got bites on top of bites. Some of them swell up into proper lumps. You look like you've got some kind of bizarre, spotty condition, and the itching never stops. You're scratching in your sleep. You're scratching while you ride. You're scratching while you eat. You're a walking scratch factory. Then there are the larger creatures. Scorpions like to hide in warm places, which includes your boots if you're careless enough to leave them outside your bedroll. You learn very quickly to shake out your boots every single morning before putting them on, because if you don't, you might get a very unpleasant surprise. Imagine shoving your foot into your boot and feeling something crunchy and angry inside. Your heart stops. You yank your foot out so fast you nearly fall over. You shake the boot and something small and furious tumbles out, tail raised, ready to fight. You've just started your day with a burst of pure panic. Your hands are shaking, your pulse is racing, and you haven't even had breakfast yet. Snakes are another constant concern. Rattlesnakes are everywhere. They like to come out at night when it's cooler, and they're attracted to warmth, which means they're attracted to you. You're a big, warm mammal lying on the ground, basically a snake magnet. Cowboys have stories about waking up with a rattlesnake curled up next to them, soaking up their body heat like a scaly hot water bottle. You sleep lightly. Every rustle, every sound makes you tense. Is that the wind? Is that a bush? Is that a snake? You spend half the night in a state of low-level anxiety, which means you're not really sleeping. You're just lying there with your eyes closed, exhausted, but unable to relax. Your pillow is your saddle. Yes, your saddle. The same saddle you've been sitting on for 12 hours. It's hard, it's awkward, and it smells like horse sweat. You try to position it so your head rests on the seat part, but it's never comfortable. There's always a buckle or a strap digging into your ear. You shift around trying to find a better angle. You fold up your jacket and stuff it under your head. That works for about 10 minutes until it compresses into a flat lump. You're exhausted enough that eventually you just pass out anyway, but it's not good sleep. It's the kind of sleep where you wake up every hour feeling stiff and sore and wondering if morning has come yet. Let's talk about the sounds. The constant, endless, maddening sounds. Cattle don't sleep quietly. They snort, they low, they shift around, they munch on grass. There are hundreds of them, sometimes thousands, and they make noise all night long. It's like trying to sleep in a room full of people who are all chewing with their mouths open. Then there are the other cowboys on watch riding around the herd singing. Yes, singing. Cowboys sing to the cattle to keep them calm. It's not good singing. These aren't professional musicians. They're tired, saddle-sore men croaking out old songs in off-key voices that drift across the prairie like the world's worst lullaby. You hear the same songs every single night. You start to hate those songs. They burrow into your brain. You catch yourself humming them during the day and you want to scream. Coyotes howl in the distance. Owls hoot. The wind whistles through the grass. Your stomach gurgles because you're either hungry or dealing with the aftermath of another questionable meal. Someone near you is snoring like a freight train. Another person is grinding their teeth. Someone else gets up 3 times to relieve themselves, stumbling around in the dark, nearly stepping on you. It's a symphony of irritation. You lie there, staring up at the stars, wondering how anyone is supposed to function on 2 hours of broken sleep. Spoiler, you don't function. You shamble through the next day like a zombie, exhausted and miserable, knowing that tonight will be exactly the same. Morning arrives whether you're ready or not, and you're never ready. Someone kicks your boot or shouts that it's time to get moving. It's still dark. The sun isn't even considering rising yet. You peel yourself out of your bedroll feeling like you've been run over by a wagon. Everything hurts. Your back has seized up from sleeping on rocks. Your neck has a crick in it that makes turning your head an ordeal. Your legs are stiff. Your shoulders ache. You're not even 30 years old and you feel about 70. You stand up and your knees crack like fireworks. You stretch and something in your spine pops. This is your body's way of saying it hates you. There's no coffee waiting unless someone's already got the fire going. And even then, Cowboy coffee is an experience you need to prepare yourself for. It's not the smooth, filtered beverage you're imagining. It's made by dumping ground coffee directly into a pot of boiling water, letting it sit, then pouring it into a tin cup and hoping most of the grounds stay in the pot. They don't. You drink coffee that's half liquid, half sludge. There are bits floating in it. Gritty bits. You try to filter them with your teeth. You fail. You end up with a mouthful of grainy, bitter coffee grounds that stick to your tongue and get wedged between your teeth. It's strong enough to wake the dead, which is good, because you feel like the dead. It's also hot enough to scald your tongue, which you do every single morning, because you're too desperate for the energy boost to wait for it to cool. Breakfast is next, and it's the same thing you had for dinner. Beans. Always beans. Sometimes there's bacon if supplies are good, but it's not crispy, delicious bacon. It's fatty, chewy, overly salted bacon that's been sitting in a barrel for weeks. It tastes like salt lick with a hint of smoke. The beans are cooked in a big pot over the fire, and they're mushy and bland. No seasoning except salt, no vegetables, no variety, just beans. You eat them with your fingers or a spoon if you're lucky enough to own one. They're lukewarm by the time you get to them because you're not first in line. There's always a queue. You stand there, stomach growling, waiting your turn while watching other exhausted men shovel bean mush into their mouths. Sometimes there's bread, but calling it bread is generous. It's hardtack, which is basically a flour brick. It's rock solid. You can't bite into it unless you want to crack a tooth. You have to dip it in your coffee or hold it in your mouth until it softens enough to chew. It tastes like absolutely nothing. Cardboard would have more flavour, but it fills your stomach, which is the point. You're not eating for enjoyment. You're eating for fuel. Eating is a chore, not a pleasure. You choke down your beans and hardtack, wash it down with gritty coffee, and that's breakfast. Congratulations. You've got enough energy to feel miserable for the next 6 hours. Now you've got to pack up your bedroll, which is damp from dew. Everything is damp. The grass is wet, your blanket is wet, your saddle is wet. You roll up your bedroll and strap it to your horse. Your hands are cold, your fingers are stiff. You fumble with the straps and it takes twice as long as it should. You're trying to work quickly because everyone else is packing up, and you don't want to be the one holding up the group. The pressure makes you clumsy. You drop things. You have to pick them up out of the wet grass. Now your hands are muddy. You wipe them on your trousers, which are already filthy. So what's a bit more dirt? Let's discuss your clothing, because you're going to be wearing the same outfit for months. Literally months. You own 2 shirts if you're fortunate. One you're wearing, one you're not. That's it. Same for trousers. You've got 1 pair on your body and maybe a spare in your saddlebag. They never get properly washed. If you're near water, you might rinse them out, but soap is a luxury, and scrubbing takes time you don't have. Mostly you just wear them until they're stiff with dried sweat and dirt. They develop a sort of crust. The armpits are discoloured. The crotch is worn thin. There are stains you can't identify and don't want to think about. They smell ripe. Not just a bit whiffy. Properly, aggressively ripe. The kind of stench that announces your presence before you enter a room. Your shirt is rough cotton or wool. It chafes your neck and wrists. The collar rubs your skin raw. You develop a red ring around your neck that stings when you sweat, which is always. The cuffs are frayed and filthy. Your trousers are thick and heavy, designed to withstand brush and thorns, but they're also hot and uncomfortable. They don't breathe. Your legs sweat inside them all day. When you finally take them off at night, your legs are clammy and you can practically see steam rising off them. You sleep in your long underwear, which you also never wash. It's grey with grime. The fabric has gone baggy and saggy in weird places. It's supposed to be white. You can barely remember what white looks like. Boots are a nightmare. They're leather, stiff, and they take weeks to break in. If they're new, they rub blisters on your heels, your toes, your ankles. Every step is agony. You develop sores that crack open every time you walk. You stuff cloth into your boots to pad them. It helps slightly. If your boots are old, they're falling apart. The soles are worn through. The leather is cracked. They leak when it rains. Your feet are constantly wet, which makes them wrinkly and soft. Soft skin blisters even easier. You can't win. Your feet are a disaster. Your toenails are black. Your heels are calloused like tree bark. You've got blisters on top of calluses. Taking your boots off at the end of the day is a relief and a horror because your feet smell like something has died inside a gym bag. Let's talk about your hat. It's not a fashion statement. It's survival equipment. The sun is ruthless. Without a hat, you'd be cooked within hours. Your hat is wide-brimmed, dusty, and probably the most valuable thing you own. It keeps the sun off your face and neck. It keeps the rain out of your eyes. It's also filthy. The band is stained with sweat. The brim is bent and floppy. It smells like your head, which smells like hair that hasn't been washed in a month. Because it hasn't. Washing your hair isn't a thing. Water is for drinking, not for luxury grooming. Your hair is greasy and matted. If you run your fingers through it, they come away shiny. You've probably got lice. Everyone's got lice. It's just accepted. You scratch your scalp constantly. Little white flakes fall onto your shoulders. Some of them are dandruff. Some of them are moving. Your bandana is multi-purpose. You wear it around your neck to stop the sun from burning you. You pull it up over your nose and mouth when the dust gets bad, which is constantly. When you're riding behind a herd of cattle, the dust is unbelievable. It's a thick cloud that hangs in the air. You can't see more than a few feet. You can't breathe without inhaling grit. Your bandana helps, but not much. Dust gets through it. You're coughing and spitting all day. Your spit comes out brown. Your nostrils are caked with dirt. You blow your nose and it's like a mud explosion. Your eyes stream with tears trying to flush out the particles. You squint so much you give yourself a headache. Now it's time to get on your horse, which sounds simple until you remember you're about to spend the next 12 to 16 hours on this animal. Your horse is not a car. It doesn't have suspension. It doesn't have heated seats. It doesn't even have cushioned seats. You've got a saddle, which is a wooden frame covered in leather, and that's your entire support system for the day. Saddles are designed to distribute your weight and keep you secure, but they're not designed for comfort. Comfort is not a priority. Functionality is. Your saddle is hard. It's got a horn at the front that digs into your stomach if you lean forward. It's got a high back that jabs you in the spine if you sit wrong. The seat is barely padded. After an hour, your backside goes numb. After 2 hours, you're shifting constantly trying to find a position that doesn't hurt. Spoiler, there isn't one. Your horse smells. Obviously, it's a large animal that works hard and sweats and never gets bathed. It smells like hay, manure, sweat, and something earthy that you can't quite place. It's not a terrible smell, but it's strong, and it's right there in your face all day. When your horse moves, the smell intensifies. When your horse relieves itself while you're sitting on it, which happens frequently, you get a front row seat to the experience. You hear it, you smell it. If you're unlucky and the wind is wrong, you feel the spray of dust and grit kicked up by the impact. You just sit there, waiting for it to finish, staring at the horizon and questioning your life choices. Horses are also unpredictable. Your horse might be calm and steady, or it might be a nightmare. Some horses are startled by everything. A bird takes off suddenly, your horse jumps sideways and nearly throws you off. A bush rustles, your horse stops dead and refuses to move. A snake crosses the trail, your horse loses its mind, rearing up and spinning around while you cling on for dear life. You're not a professional rider. You're competent, but you're not performing in shows. You've been thrown off multiple times. Everyone has. Getting thrown is part of the job. You hit the ground hard. The wind gets knocked out of you. You lie there gasping like a fish trying to remember how breathing works, while your horse trots off looking smug. Mounting the horse in the first place is an ordeal if you're sore, which you always are. You have to lift your leg high enough to get your foot in the stirrup, which requires flexibility you don't currently possess. Your muscles are tight, your hips are stiff. You grab the saddle horn, haul yourself up and swing your leg over with a grunt of effort. Sometimes you don't make it on the first try. You hang there awkwardly, one foot in the stirrup, one leg flailing, trying to get enough momentum to heave yourself up. It's undignified. Other cowboys pretend not to notice. Once you're up, you settle into the saddle and immediately feel every bruise and sore spot from yesterday. Your thighs are chafed, your backside is tender, your lower back is already protesting, and you haven't even started moving yet. Riding all day is an endurance test. It's not like a gentle trot through a park. You're working, you're moving cattle, which means you're constantly shifting direction, speeding up, slowing down, circling back. Your horse is moving beneath you in ways that jar your spine and rattle your teeth. Every step sends a jolt through your body. Your neck aches from the constant motion. Your shoulders are tense from gripping the reins. Your thighs are clamped around the horse, which sounds fine until you've been doing it for hours. Your inner thigh muscles burn. They cramp. They feel like they're tearing. You try to relax, but you can't, because you need to stay on the horse. It's a catch-22 of discomfort. The sun is your enemy. It rises and immediately begins its mission to make you suffer. There's no shade. You're out in the open, exposed. The sun beats down on your head, your shoulders, your back. Your hat helps, but it's not enough. The heat is oppressive. It's the kind of heat that makes you dizzy. You start sweating immediately. Sweat runs down your face, stinging your eyes. You wipe it away with your filthy bandana, which just smears dust and salt into your eyes, making them burn. Sweat soaks your shirt. It drips down your back, pools at your waistband, makes your trousers stick to your legs. You're wet all over. Your clothes cling to you. You can feel rivulets running down your spine, trickling into places you'd rather not think about. You drink water from a canteen, which is a metal flask that heats up in the sun. By midday, your water is lukewarm and tastes like metal and dust. It's not refreshing. It's just wet. You ration it because you don't know when you'll find more. You take small sips, swish them around your mouth and swallow. Your throat is dry. Your lips are cracked. You lick them, which makes them worse. The skin peels off in little strips. Your tongue feels like leather. You're constantly thirsty, but you can't drink too much because you need the water to last. It's a slow, torturous process of denial. Dust is everywhere. When cattle move, they kick up dust. Hundreds of hooves pounding the ground create a cloud that hangs in the air like fog. You ride through it, breathing it, tasting it, wearing it. It coats your skin. It gets in your ears. It settles on your eyelashes. You blink and feel the grittiness. Your eyes are red and irritated. Tears run down your face, cutting clean lines through the layer of dirt on your cheeks. You look like you're crying, but you're not. Your body is just trying to cope with the constant assault of particles. You cough. Everyone's coughing. It's a chorus of hacking and spitting. You bring up mouthfuls of brown phlegm and spit them onto the ground. Attractive. Let's talk about the monotony. You're doing the same thing for hours on end. Riding, watching cattle, making sure none of them wander off. It's boring. Mind-numbingly boring. There's nothing to look at except flat land, scrub brush, and the backsides of cattle. You can't check your phone. You can't listen to music. You can't even have a proper conversation because everyone's spread out doing their jobs. You're alone with your thoughts, and your thoughts are mostly complaints. Your back hurts, you're thirsty, you're hungry, you're bored. You wonder what you're doing with your life. You wonder if it's too late to learn a trade. You wonder if you'll ever feel clean again. Flies are constant companions. They swarm around the cattle and by extension around you. They land on your face, your hands, your neck. You swat at them. They fly away and immediately come back. They're persistent. They crawl on your skin. You feel their little legs tickling you. It drives you mad. You can't stop swatting. You look like you're fighting an invisible enemy. Some flies bite. You feel a sharp pinch on your arm or your ear. You slap at it too late. Now you've got a red welt that itches and stings. You scratch it. It swells up. You've added another irritation to your growing collection. The saddle rubs you raw. The leather moves against your trousers, and your trousers move against your skin, and friction does its work. Your inner thighs are the worst. The skin gets red, then sore, then starts to break down. Every movement is painful. You're essentially being sanded down by your own clothing. Your backside isn't much better. You're sitting on bone, basically, with a thin layer of padding that's compressed flat within an hour. You develop pressure sores, tender spots that hurt when you sit, which is always. You shift your weight, trying to take pressure off the sore bits. You stand up in the stirrups for a while, which gives your backside a break but murders your thighs and calves. You sit back down. The pain returns. There's no winning position. Eventually, mercifully, the sun begins to sink. The heat eases slightly, which is a relief, but now you're dealing with new problems. Your body is wrecked. You've been on a horse for 12 hours or more. Every muscle is screaming. Your legs are trembling. Your backside is completely numb. You can't feel it at all, which is alarming but also a blessing, because when the feeling comes back, it's going to hurt. Your back feels like it's been beaten with sticks. Your neck is locked in place. You can barely turn your head. Your hands are cramped from holding the reins. Your fingers are curled into claws. You have to consciously straighten them out, and they protest with sharp aches. When you finally stop for the day, you have to get off the horse. This is harder than getting on. You're stiff. You're exhausted. You swing your leg over and immediately realize your legs don't work anymore. They're jelly. You dismount and your knees buckle. You grab the saddle to stop yourself collapsing in a heap. You stand there, bow-legged and wobbly, waiting for your legs to remember how to function. Every cowboy dismounts looking like they've been at sea for a month. You walk like you've forgotten how legs work. Your gait is wide and stiff. Each step is deliberate. Your hips are locked. Your thighs are burning. You hobble over to where camp is being set up, moving like someone 3 times your age. Now you've got work to do. You can't just collapse, even though that's all you want to do. You have to unsaddle your horse, which means lifting the saddle off. Saddles are heavy. This one's been on the horse all day, soaking up sweat and heat. It's damp and warm and weighs a ton. You heave it off and nearly drop it because your arms are weak and shaky. You stagger over to where the saddles are being piled and dump it down. Your shoulders are screaming, your lower back spasms. You stand there bent over, hands on your knees, breathing hard and wondering if this is what dying feels like. Your horse needs tending. You can't just abandon it. You have to remove the bridle, check its hooves, make sure it's not injured. You run your hands over its legs, feeling for heat or swelling. Your horse is tired too. It stands there patiently while you fuss over it. You brush it down, which is supposed to be soothing, but is actually just another task when you're exhausted. You drag the brush over its coat, removing dried sweat and dust. Clouds of dirt puff up into your face. You're adding more filth to your already filthy self. You finish, give the horse a pat, and let it go to graze. It wanders off without a backwards glance. You've just spent 12 hours together and it couldn't care less. Horses are brutal like that. Now it's time to sort out camp, which is the same routine as last night and the night before, and every night. Gather firewood, start a fire, set up your bedroll. The fire is essential because it's already getting cold. The temperature is dropping fast. You were boiling a few hours ago. Now you're shivering. You pull on an extra layer, a jacket that's stiff with dirt and smells like you. The fire gets going and everyone gathers around it like moths. The warmth is glorious. You hold your hands out to it, feeling the heat seep into your frozen fingers. The front of you is warm. The back of you is freezing. You turn around. Now your back is warm and your front is cold. You rotate like a rotisserie chicken, trying to heat all sides evenly. Dinner is beans. Again. You knew it would be. You're still disappointed. The beans are hot, which is something. You shovel them into your mouth, barely tasting them. You're too hungry to care. You scrape the bottom of your tin plate, getting every last bit. You're still hungry. You're always hungry. The portions are small and the work is hard. You're burning energy faster than you can replace it. Your stomach growls even after you've eaten. You drink more metallic water and pretend it's filling. It's not. You think about food from home, proper food, roasted meat, fresh bread, vegetables that aren't just beans. Your mouth waters. Then you remember where you are and the fantasy evaporates like spit on a hot stone. Let's discuss the state of your stomach, because it's not doing well. The diet out here is terrible. It's beans, hardtack, jerky, and occasionally bacon. That's it. No fruit, no vegetables, no fibre to speak of except from the beans, which provide plenty of fibre but in the most unpleasant way possible. Your digestion is chaos. You're either blocked up for days, feeling heavy and uncomfortable, or you're dealing with the opposite problem and desperately seeking privacy in a landscape that offers none. When nature calls urgently, you grab a small shovel, walk a decent distance from camp, and dig a hole. There's no toilet, there's no privacy, there's just you, a hole, and the hope that no one's looking. You squat in the dirt, trousers around your ankles, trying to balance and not fall over. It's undignified. It's uncomfortable. Your thighs are already sore from riding, and now they're burning from holding this position. You do your business as quickly as possible. There's no toilet paper. You use leaves if you can find them, or handfuls of grass, or you just don't. You make do. Hygiene is not a priority. It can't be. You pull your trousers up, fill in the hole, and walk back to camp feeling vaguely cleaner, but mostly just embarrassed. Everyone pretends not to notice where you've been. They've all been there. They'll all be there again tonight or tomorrow. Let's talk about the smell situation, because it's reached critical levels. You haven't washed in weeks. Your clothes are ripe. Your body is ripe. The combination is eye-watering. When you sit close to the fire with other cowboys, the collective stench is overwhelming. It's a thick, pungent cloud of unwashed human. You can taste it. It's a mix of sweat, dirt, smoke, horse, and something sour that you can't identify. Everyone smells. No one comments on it because that would be hypocritical. You've become nose-blind to your own odour, but occasionally you catch a whiff of yourself and it's shocking. You smell like something that should be buried, not walking around. But there's nothing to be done. You can't wash. You can't change clothes. You just exist in your own personal fog of stink. The evening is when minor injuries make themselves known. You peel off your boots and discover your feet are a disaster. Blisters have popped. Your socks are stuck to your skin with dried fluids. You peel them off gingerly and it stings. Your feet are pale and wrinkled and smell like a crime scene. You've got black toenails, raw patches on your heels, and a general feeling that your feet might just give up entirely. You try to air them out by the fire. Someone makes a comment about the smell. You tell them where to go. Your feet steam gently in the cool air, releasing their pungent aroma into the night. Your hands are in rough shape too. The rains have rubbed your palms raw. You've got blisters on your fingers. The skin is cracked and dry. Your knuckles are split and sore. You've got cuts and scrapes from various tasks throughout the day. There's dirt ground into every wound. You should probably clean them, but with what? You don't have antiseptic. You don't even have clean water. You just leave them and hope for the best. Some get infected. They swell up, turn red, throb with pain. You lance them with a knife that's been held in the fire to sterilize it. A sharp poke, a bit of pressure, and out comes a concerning amount of fluid. You feel better immediately. You wrap it with a strip of cloth that's probably not clean and carry on. This is cowboy medicine. Let's talk about what happens when something goes wrong, because things go wrong constantly. Cattle are not intelligent creatures. They're large, heavy, and prone to panic. If something spooks the herd at night, you've got a stampede. The sound is terrifying. It starts as a low rumble like distant thunder, then builds into a roar. The ground shakes. You wake up from your terrible sleep to chaos. Someone's shouting, hooves are pounding. You scramble out of your bedroll, jam your feet into your boots, and run for your horse. Your heart is hammering. Your hands are shaking. This is dangerous. People die in stampedes. You mount your horse in record time, fear giving you speed you didn't know you had. You ride towards the herd, trying to get to the front, trying to turn them. The goal is to make them run in a circle instead of a straight line. If they run straight, they'll scatter for miles, and you'll spend days rounding them up. If you can turn them, they'll tire themselves out and stop. It sounds simple. It's not. You're riding in the dark, flat out, trying to avoid holes and bushes and other riders. Your horse is terrified but trained. It responds to your commands even though you can feel it trembling beneath you. The noise is unbelievable. Hundreds of cattle bellowing and running. Hooves striking the ground like drums. Your own horse panting and snorting. Your blood pounding in your ears. You can't hear yourself think. You ride alongside the herd, shouting and waving your hat, trying to turn the leaders. Slowly, painfully, the herd begins to curve. They're running in an arc now. You keep pushing. Your horse is lathered in sweat. Its sides are heaving. You're gripping with your thighs, staying low, praying you don't fall. If you fall, you'll be trampled. You've seen it happen. You don't want to think about it. Finally, mercifully, the herd slows. They're tired. The panic fades. They mill about, confused, then settle. You sit on your horse, gasping for breath, shaking with adrenaline. Your legs are weak, your chest is tight. You feel like you've run a marathon. Other cowboys appear out of the darkness, all looking as shaken as you feel. Someone laughs, high and slightly hysterical. Someone else swears. You all just sit there for a moment, letting your heart rates return to normal. Then you ride back to camp, knowing you're not getting any more sleep tonight. Weather is another constant threat. Thunderstorms on the open prairie are biblical. You see them coming from miles away. Dark clouds rolling in, lightning flickering inside them. The temperature drops. The wind picks up. You batten down what little you have. You secure your bedroll. You calm your horse, which is rolling its eyes and dancing nervously. Then the storm hits. Rain comes down in sheets, soaking you instantly. It's cold rain, shockingly cold. You're drenched within seconds. Your hat channels water down your back. Your clothes become heavy and cling to you like cold, wet hands. Lightning cracks across the sky, bright enough to blind you. Thunder follows immediately, so loud it feels like it's inside your chest. Your horse bolts. You cling on, trying to control it, but it's terrified. All the horses are terrified. The cattle are lowing and shifting. This is stampede conditions again. You're trying to keep your horse calm, keep yourself calm, and keep an eye on the herd all at once. It's impossible. Rain lashes your face. Wind howls. You can't see. You can't hear. You're cold, wet, and fairly sure you're going to be struck by lightning. The storm passes eventually. They always do. You're left sitting in the mud, soaked to the bone, shivering violently. Everything you own is wet. Your bedroll is soaked. Your spare clothes are wet. The firewood is wet. You can't get warm. You can't get dry. You just have to sit there, teeth chattering, waiting for dawn. When the sun comes up, it reveals a grey, miserable landscape. Everything is dripping. The ground is churned into mud. Your boots squelch with every step. You spend the day wet, then the night wet, then the next day slowly drying out but still damp in places. Your skin goes wrinkly. Your clothes chafe even worse on wet skin. You develop rashes in places that are constantly damp. It's miserable beyond description. Let's discuss injuries, because you're going to get hurt. It's not a question of if, it's when. Ropes are dangerous. You're using lassos to catch cattle, and if you're not careful, the rope can wrap around your hand or wrist. When a cow bolts, that rope goes tight. If your hand is caught, you're in trouble. The rope burns through your glove, through your skin. It cuts deep. Your hand swells up immediately. The pain is blinding. You can't use that hand for days. It throbs constantly. You bind it with cloth and try to work one-handed, which is nearly impossible. Everything takes twice as long and hurts twice as much. Horses kick. You're behind a horse at the wrong moment and it lashes out. A hoof catches you in the thigh or the shin. The impact is enormous. You go down hard. The pain is white hot. You lie there, gasping, unable to move. Someone helps you up. You try to walk it off. You can't. You limp for a week. A massive bruise blooms across your leg, purple and green and yellow. It hurts to touch. It hurts not to touch. It hurts to exist. You keep working because you have no choice. You grit your teeth and ignore the pain, adding it to the background noise of constant discomfort. Cacti are everywhere, and they're vicious. You brush against one and come away with dozens of tiny spines embedded in your arm or leg. They're almost invisible, but you can feel every single one. You try to pull them out. You get some, but not all. The rest work their way deeper. Your skin gets inflamed and itchy. You scratch, which breaks the spines off under the skin. Now, they're really stuck. They'll fester for days before your body pushes them out. You've always got a few cactus spines somewhere on your body, little reminders of your hostile environment. Cuts and scrapes are daily occurrences. You're working with rough wood, sharp tools, barbed wire if you're unlucky. You slice your hand on a nail. You gash your arm on a broken plank. You scrape your knuckles on something and don't even notice until you see the red marks. Most cuts are minor, but they add up. Your hands look like you've been fighting wildcats. Every knuckle is scabbed. Every finger has a cut or scratch. They sting when you sweat, which is always. Salt gets into the wounds. It burns. You hiss and swear and keep going. Then there are the less obvious injuries. Saddle sores can get infected. A raw patch on your thigh becomes red and angry. It weeps fluid. It stinks. You should rest it. You can't. You keep riding. The saddle rubs it every day. It gets worse. Eventually someone takes a look and declares it infected. They clean it out, which involves scraping away the bad tissue. You bite down on a stick to stop yourself screaming. They pack it with cloth. You ride on. Somehow, miraculously, it heals. Your body is tougher than you thought. It has to be. Let's talk about what passes for medical care. There's no doctor. If someone gets seriously hurt, the best you can hope for is another cowboy who's seen a lot of injuries and has some idea what to do. Got a dislocated shoulder? Someone's going to yank your arm until it pops back into place. It's agony. You scream. They tell you to stop being dramatic. Got a broken bone? They'll set it as best they can, splint it with sticks and cloth and hope it heals straight. It probably won't. You'll have a crooked arm or a wonky finger for the rest of your life. Got a fever? You lie in your bedroll, sweating and shivering, drinking water and hoping you don't die. Sometimes people do die. One day they're fine, the next they're burning up. The day after that, they're being buried in a shallow grave marked with a pile of rocks. Now, let's discuss the things that crawl, bite, and sting, because the Wild West is full of creatures that want to make your life even worse. Scorpions are a constant threat. They're small, nearly invisible in the dirt, and their sting feels like someone's jabbing a hot needle into you. The pain is instant and intense. Your hand or foot swells up. It throbs. The pain radiates up your arm or leg. You feel sick. Some people have worse reactions. They get dizzy, nauseous, struggle to breathe. You just have to wait it out. There's no antidote. You sit there, cradling your swollen hand, cursing the tiny monster that got you. Spiders are everywhere. Most are harmless, but some aren't. You don't always know which is which until it's too late. You wake up with a bite on your arm. It's red and raised. Over the next few days it gets worse. The center turns dark. The area around it swells. It's hot to the touch. It might be a bad spider bite. It might just be infected. Either way, you're in for a rough week. The bite oozes. You have to keep it clean, which is laughable given your circumstances. You dab at it with water and hope. Sometimes it heals. Sometimes it doesn't. You've seen men with scars from bites that went bad, puckered circles on their arms or legs, permanent reminders of a tiny spider. Snakes have already been mentioned, but let's be clear about how much of a problem they are. Rattlesnakes are common. They hide under rocks, in bushes, in tall grass. You're walking along, minding your business, and you hear that dry rattle. You freeze. Your heart stops. You look down. There it is, coiled and ready, tail vibrating. You back away slowly. If you're lucky, it leaves you alone. If you're not, it strikes. Fangs sink into your boot or your leg. The pain is immediate and severe. You've been bitten. This is bad. Very bad. Snake bites are serious. The affected area swells massively. Your leg or arm blows up like a balloon. The skin turns purple. The pain is excruciating. You feel weak, dizzy, sick. Someone cuts an X over the bite, and tries to suck out the poison. It doesn't really work, but it's all you've got. You're laid up for days, feverish and miserable, not knowing if you're going to make it. Most people survive rattlesnake bites, but not all. And even if you survive, you're weak and useless for a week or more. The swelling takes ages to go down. The bite site looks horrific, discoloured and bruised. You limp for weeks. Every step hurts, but you keep going because there's no alternative. Ticks are insidious. They're tiny and they burrow into your skin. You don't feel them bite. You only discover them later when you're checking yourself over and find a small lump. You pull it off and it's a tick. Fat with your sustenance. It's disgusting. The head sometimes stays in your skin. You have to dig it out with a knife. The spot gets red and itchy. Sometimes it gets infected. Ticks carry diseases. You might get sick weeks after the bite. Fever, aches, a rash. You don't connect it to the tick because that was ages ago. You just suffer through it, feeling wretched, wondering what's wrong with you. Mosquitoes are relentless. They swarm at dusk. You're sitting by the fire, and suddenly you're covered in them. They whine in your ears, that high-pitched buzz that drives you mad. They bite any exposed skin, your face, your hands, your neck. You slap at them constantly. You're covered in bites within minutes. The itching is maddening. You scratch until you draw marks. The bites swell into lumps. You look like you've got some kind of pox. The itching keeps you awake at night. You scratch in your sleep. You wake up with fresh marks where you've clawed at yourself. It's torture. Ants are another joy. Fire ants in particular are nightmares. You accidentally kneel on a nest. Within seconds, they're swarming up your leg. They bite and sting simultaneously. It feels like being burned. You're dancing around, slapping your leg, trying to get them off. They're in your trousers. They're everywhere. Each bite is a small point of fire. You strip off your trousers, not caring who sees, and brush them off frantically. You're left with dozens of bites, red and raised, burning and itching. The pain lasts for hours. The itching lasts for days. Flies have been mentioned, but let's discuss the ones that bite. Horseflies are huge and aggressive. When they bite, it hurts. It's not a little pinch. It's a proper bite. You feel it through your clothes. You slap the spot, and there's a smear of your own red liquid. The bite swells immediately. It itches and burns. You've got multiple bites by the end of the day. They're all over your arms, your neck, anywhere the fly could land. You're a mess of lumps and marks. You look like you've been in a fight with something twice your size. Even the non-biting insects are a problem. Beetles crawl into your bedroll. You wake up with something hard and crunchy under you. You've rolled onto a beetle and squashed it. There's now a stain on your blanket and a weird smell. Moths flutter around the fire and occasionally into your face. It's startling and unpleasant. Grasshoppers jump onto you. They're harmless but alarming when one suddenly lands on your neck. You swat at it reflexively and it jumps away, leaving you looking paranoid. Let's talk about larger pests. Rats and mice are common around camp. They're attracted by food scraps. You hear them at night, scurrying around, chewing on things. They get into the supplies. You wake up to find a bag of flour torn open, grains scattered everywhere, tiny droppings mixed in. It's all ruined. You're furious but helpless. You can't guard the supplies all night. The rodents are clever and persistent. They'll chew through canvas, wood, leather. Nothing is safe. You found mice nesting in your saddlebag. You shake it out and 3 mice tumble out, looking indignant. You've been carrying them around for days. Prairie dogs are everywhere on the range. They're cute until you realize they dig holes. Lots of holes. Your horse steps in a prairie dog hole and stumbles. If you're unlucky, The horse breaks a leg. That's a disaster. A horse with a broken leg is a dead horse. You can't fix it. You can't carry it. You do what has to be done, and now you're without a horse. You have to double up with another rider or walk. Walking is not an option for long. You're miles from anywhere. You need a horse. You might have to buy one at the next town, if there is a next town, if you have money. It's a catastrophe over a small furry animal's burrow. Buzzards circle overhead whenever something's dying or dead. They're a bad omen. You see them circling and you know something's wrong. Maybe a cow's gotten sick and wandered off. Maybe it's something worse. Buzzards are patient. They wait. When you find the carcass, the buzzards are already there, hopping around, tearing at it. It's grim. The smell is indescribable. Rotting meat in the hot sun. It's a thick, sweet, awful stench that clings to the back of your throat. You breathe through your mouth, but then you can taste it. You gag. You back away. But you've still got to deal with the situation. Move the cattle away. Make sure the rest of the herd doesn't get spooked. Coyotes howl at night. It's an eerie sound, rising and falling. One starts, then others join in. It sounds like there are hundreds of them, though there are probably only a few. They're not usually a threat to people, but they'll go after a sick or injured cow. You have to keep watch. Someone's always on watch, riding around the herd, keeping an eye out for predators. It's lonely work. It's dark. You're tired. You're trying to stay awake and alert when all you want to do is sleep. You sing to stay awake, those same awful songs. You hate them, but they keep you conscious. Let's discuss what happens when you finally reach a town after weeks or months on the trail. You'd think it would be a relief. It is, but it's also overwhelming. You've been out in the middle of nowhere for so long that civilization feels alien. The town is noisy. There are people everywhere, talking, shouting, laughing. It's too much. Your ears are ringing. You've gotten used to silence, broken only by cattle and wind. Now there are wagons rattling, dogs barking, someone hammering, a piano playing badly in a saloon. It's sensory overload. You stand there blinking, trying to adjust. You smell terrible. You knew you smelled bad, but out on the trail, everyone smelled bad, so it didn't matter. Here, in town, you're surrounded by people who've bathed recently. They wrinkle their noses as you walk past. You're self-conscious suddenly. You're aware of your filthy clothes, your matted hair, your general state of decay. Children stare. Women cross the street to avoid you. You look like something that crawled out of a ditch, because essentially you did. You've been living in the dirt for months. You're caked in grime. Your clothes are stiff with old sweat and dust. You're a walking health hazard. The first thing you want is a bath. Proper bath. There are bathhouses in town, establishments where you can pay to sit in a tub of hot water. It's expensive, but you don't care. You hand over your coins and you're shown to a room with a large wooden tub. Someone brings in buckets of hot water and fills it. Steam rises. You stare at it like it's a miracle. You strip off your clothes, peeling them away from your skin. They practically stand up on their own. You lower yourself into the water, and it's the best thing you've felt in months. The heat soaks into your aching muscles. You groan with relief. You're submerged in hot water, and it's glorious. The water turns brown almost immediately. Dirt lifts off your skin in clouds. You scrub yourself with a bar of soap, actual soap, and it lathers. You haven't seen lather in forever. You scrub your arms, your chest, your legs. The soap stings every cut and scrape. You've got dozens of them. The water turns from brown to grey to something approaching black. You're horrified and fascinated by how much filth is coming off you. You drain the tub and ask for more water. They look at you like you're mad, but they bring more. You fill it again and wash again. The second tub of water also turns murky, but not as bad. You're getting cleaner. You wash your hair. It takes forever. You pour water over your head and work the soap through. Your hair is so matted and greasy that the soap barely penetrates. You scrub your scalp hard. More dirt. Things moving. You don't look too closely. You rinse and repeat. After 3 washes, your hair finally feels like hair again. You run your fingers through it, and they actually move. It's amazing. You scrub your beard, if you've still got one. Bits of food come out. Dust. Who knows what else? You consider shaving, but you're too tired. Maybe later. You soak until the water goes cold. You don't want to get out. This is comfort. This is luxury. But eventually you have to. You heave yourself out, dripping, and dry off with a rough towel. Your skin is pink and raw from scrubbing. You feel lighter. You feel human. You catch a glimpse of yourself in a cracked mirror. You barely recognize the person staring back. You're thin. Your face is gaunt. Your cheekbones are sharp. Your skin is weathered and lined. You look older. You look tired. But you're clean. And that's something. Now you need new clothes because your old ones are beyond saving. There's a general store that sells ready-made garments. They're rough and basic, but they're clean. You buy a shirt, trousers, socks, and undergarments. You put them on and they feel strange. The fabric is stiff and unworn. They smell like fabric instead of sweat. You're not used to it, but it's wonderful. You're wearing clean clothes. You feel like a different person. You bundle up your old clothes and debate throwing them away. You probably should. But they're all you've got, and you might need them. You shove them in your saddlebag and try not to think about the smell. Food is the next priority. Real food. You head to a restaurant or saloon. The menu is overwhelming. There are options, multiple options. You can have steak, chicken, fish, potatoes, vegetables, bread, pie. You order everything. The server looks amused, but writes it down. The food arrives and you stare at it. It's hot. It's varied. It's not beans. You eat slowly at first, savouring every bite. Then you eat faster because it's so good and you're so hungry. You eat until you're uncomfortably full. Your stomach shrunken from weeks of meagre rations, protests. You don't care. You keep eating. You finish with pie, sweet and rich. You feel sick but satisfied. You lean back in your chair, groaning. This is living. You want a drink. Alcohol. You've been dry for months. You head to the saloon. It's crowded and loud. You push your way to the bar and order whiskey. The bartender pours. You down it. It burns. It's harsh and cheap, but it's alcohol. You feel the warmth spread through your chest. You order another. And another. You're not a heavy drinker normally, but tonight you're making an exception. You're celebrating being alive, being clean, being in civilization. Other cowboys from your crew are here too. Everyone's drinking. Everyone's loud. Stories are being told. Lies are being exaggerated. Someone starts singing. Others join in. It's rowdy and chaotic and fun. But drinking on an empty stomach, or rather a stomach full of rich food it's not used to, is a mistake. You're drunk faster than you expected. The room spins slightly. You're laughing too loud at things that aren't that funny. You're unsteady on your feet. You decide you need air. You stumble outside into the street. The cool night air hits you. You feel queasy. Your stomach lurches. You make it to an alley before everything you just ate comes back up. You're bent over, retching, miserable. So much for that nice meal. You wipe your mouth, feeling wretched. Your mouth tastes foul, your head is spinning. You need to lie down. There are lodging houses in town. You rent a bed for the night, an actual bed, with a mattress and a pillow and a blanket. It's in a shared room with other men, but you don't care. You collapse onto the bed and it's like lying on a cloud. Compared to the ground, this is heaven. The mattress is thin and lumpy, but it's soft. The pillow is flat, but it's there. You sink into it. You're asleep within seconds. You sleep hard, the kind of deep sleep you haven't had in months. You don't wake up once. No snakes, no cattle, no cold ground. Just blissful unconsciousness. You wake up feeling dreadful. Your head is pounding, your mouth is dry. You're hungover, and it's awful. You stagger downstairs, squinting in the daylight. You need water. You need food. You find a well and drink directly from the bucket. You don't care about manners. The water is cold and clean. You drink until your stomach sloshes. You splash water on your face. It helps slightly. You still feel like death, but now you're hydrated death. Breakfast helps. You force down eggs and bread. Your stomach complains but accepts it. Coffee helps more. Strong, hot coffee without grounds in it. It's wonderful. You drink cup after cup. Slowly the hangover recedes. You're functional again. You feel almost human. You realize you've spent all your money. The bath, the clothes, the food, the drinks, the bed. It all added up. You're broke again. But it was worth it. For one night, you felt like a person instead of a piece of dried meat on a horse. Let's talk about the romantic notion of freedom and adventure, because that's what draws people to the cowboy life. The idea of the open range, the endless horizon, being your own man. It sounds appealing. In reality, you're not free. You're employed. You work for a rancher or a trail boss. You do what you're told. You go where they say. You have no autonomy. You're part of a crew, which means you can't just wander off and do your own thing. You're bound by the needs of the herd and the schedule of the drive. If you want to stop and rest, tough. The herd keeps moving. If you're injured and need time to heal, too bad. You keep going or you get left behind. The pay is terrible. You're earning maybe £1 a month if you're lucky. That's for back-breaking, dangerous, uncomfortable work every single day for months on end. There are no benefits, no sick pay, no pension. If you get hurt and can't work, you don't get paid. If you die, your family gets nothing. You're expendable. There are always more men willing to take the job because they don't know any better, or they have no other options. You're at the bottom of the ladder and you're staying there. The ranchers get rich. You get beans and a bedroll. It's not fair, but fairness isn't part of the equation. The work is dangerous in ways you don't appreciate until you're doing it. Aside from stampedes and snakes and all the things already mentioned, there's the simple fact that you're handling large, unpredictable animals all day. Cattle can turn on you. A bull can charge. You're on foot, trying to move a stubborn cow, and it decides it's had enough. It lowers its head and comes at you. You run. If you're fast, you get away. If you're not, you get trampled or gored. Horns are sharp. Getting hit by a charging cow is like being hit by a car. You go flying. You land hard. Broken bones, internal injuries or worse. And there's no hospital. Just your crew who'll do what they can. Which isn't much. Horses are dangerous too. They're big and powerful, and sometimes they're mean. A horse that doesn't like you will make your life miserable. It'll bite you when you're saddling it. It'll buck when you try to mount. It'll refuse to obey commands. You're stuck with this animal for the entire drive. You can't trade it. You just have to deal. You get bitten on the shoulder, and it leaves a massive bruise. You get thrown off repeatedly. You develop a genuine dislike for this horse. The feeling is mutual, but you need it to work, so you keep trying. It's a battle of wills that you're not entirely sure you're winning. River crossings are terrifying. You come to a river and the herd has to cross. Rivers are unpredictable. The current can be strong. The water can be deeper than it looks. You ride your horse into the water, urging the cattle to follow. The water rises. It's up to your waist, then your chest. Your horse is swimming. You're clinging on, trying to stay upright. The current is pulling at you. Cattle are all around, thrashing and panicking. One wrong move and you're in the water. If you fall in, you're swept away. The weight of your clothes and boots drags you down. You're trying to swim, but you're exhausted, and the current is too strong. Cowboys drown in river crossings. It happens. Bodies are found downstream days later. It's a risk every time, and there's no way around it. The herd has to cross, so you have to cross. You just hope today isn't the day your luck runs out. Bandits and rustlers are a real threat. Cattle are valuable. A herd represents a lot of money. There are men who'd rather steal than work. They wait until you're in a remote area, then they strike. Sometimes they just try to cut out a few cattle and make off with them. Sometimes they want the whole herd. There are gunfights, actual gunfights. You're shooting at people and they're shooting back. It's nothing like the films. It's chaotic and terrifying. The noise is deafening. Smoke fills the air. You can't see what you're hitting. Your hands are shaking. You're scared. You might die here, over a bunch of cows that aren't even yours. If you survive, you're shaking with adrenaline. Your ears are ringing. Someone might be hurt. You have to check. Maybe someone's been shot. There's red liquid. There's screaming. You try to help, but you don't know what to do. You're not a doctor. You press cloth against the wound and apply pressure. It's all you know. The person might live. They might not. It depends on where they were hit, how bad it is, and sheer luck. You bury the dead if there are any. A shallow grave, a few words, a marker if you have time. Then you move on. You have to. The herd doesn't wait. The job doesn't stop. Let's discuss the isolation. You're out in the wilderness for months. You don't see towns. You don't see other people except your crew. You're cut off from the world. News doesn't reach you. You have no idea what's happening anywhere else. Someone could have started a war. Your family could be in trouble. You wouldn't know. Letters are impossible. There's no postal service on the open range. You're completely isolated. It's lonely. Even surrounded by other men, it's lonely. You can't have deep conversations because everyone's too tired. You can't form close friendships because everyone's miserable and irritable. You're alone with your thoughts, and your thoughts are mostly complaints. The boredom is crushing. People think adventure means excitement. It doesn't. Most of your time is spent doing nothing interesting. Riding slowly behind cattle, watching them graze, sitting by a fire, staring at the ground. Hours and hours of tedium. Your mind goes numb. You count things to pass the time. How many steps your horse takes, how many cattle you can see, how many clouds are in the sky. It's pathetic, but it's all you have. You're desperate for stimulation, a change of scenery, a different task, anything. But it's the same thing, every day, for months. The lack of privacy is maddening. You're never alone. You're always surrounded by other men. You sleep near them. You eat with them. You work with them. There's no personal space. No quiet moment to yourself. You can't think. You can't relax. Someone's always there, snoring or talking or making noise. You crave solitude. You fantasize about being alone, truly alone, for just an hour. But it doesn't happen. If you wander off alone, someone comes looking. They think you're lost or in trouble. You can't explain that you just wanted a moment of peace. They wouldn't understand. Homesickness is real. You miss home, wherever that is. You miss familiar faces. You miss comfortable surroundings. You miss routines that don't involve saddle sores and beans. You lie awake at night thinking about home. What are they doing? Do they miss you? Do they even remember you? You've been gone so long. You wonder if things have changed. You wonder if you've changed. You have. You're harder. You're thinner. You're meaner. The trail does that to you. It strips away the softness. You become a lean, tough, bitter version of yourself. You're not sure you like it, but you don't have a choice. The uncertainty is exhausting. You don't know how long this drive will take. Could be 2 months, could be 4. Depends on weather, terrain, problems along the way. You don't know if you'll make it. You might get injured, you might get sick, you might die. It's all possible. You have no control. You're at the mercy of circumstances. It's a helpless feeling. You just keep going, one day at a time, hoping you'll reach the destination, hoping you'll get paid, hoping you'll survive long enough to spend the money. Let's discuss what it does to your body over time, because this job ages you like nothing else. Your joints are the first to go. Knees that have gripped a horse for thousands of hours start to ache constantly, not just after a long day, but all the time. You wake up and they're stiff. You try to stand and they crack and pop like firewood. Going up or down, even a small slope becomes an ordeal. You move like someone decades older. Your ankles are swollen from being stuck in boots all day, every day. The circulation is terrible. You take your boots off and your feet are puffy and tender. Press your finger into the flesh and it leaves a dent that takes ages to bounce back. Your spine is compressed from years of jarring impacts. Every step the horse takes sends a shockwave through your vertebrae. Over months and years, the discs wear down. Your back hurts constantly, a deep, grinding ache that never fully goes away. You can't stand up straight anymore. You're permanently slightly bent, curved from years in the saddle. When you do try to straighten, something catches and sends a sharp pain shooting up your back. You gasp and freeze, waiting for it to pass. Lying down doesn't help. Sitting doesn't help. There's no position that doesn't hurt. You've just got to live with it. Your hands are ruined. The constant gripping of reins, the rope burns, the cuts and scrapes that never properly heal. Your fingers don't straighten fully anymore. They're stuck in a slight curl, permanently shaped by years of holding leather. Your knuckles are swollen and knobbly. The joints are inflamed. On cold mornings, your hands are so stiff you can barely make a fist. You have to work them slowly, flexing and clenching, waiting for them to loosen up enough to function. Simple tasks become difficult. Buttoning a shirt takes twice as long. Your grip strength is shot. You drop things constantly. Your shoulders are a disaster. Years of throwing lassos, hauling saddles, pulling on stubborn horses. The muscles are knotted and tight. You've got permanent tension across your upper back. Rolling your shoulders produces a series of cracks and crunches that sound alarming. Sometimes your shoulder just gives out. You're reaching for something, and suddenly there's a sharp pain, and your arm won't work properly for a few minutes. You have to stop and wait for it to sort itself out, massaging the spot and cursing. Your hips are misaligned from the way you sit in the saddle. One leg is slightly shorter than the other now, or at least it feels that way. Your gait is uneven. You limp slightly even when nothing's specifically wrong. Your hip joints click with every step. Sometimes they lock up entirely. You're walking along and suddenly you can't move your leg properly. You have to stop, shift your weight, rotate the hip until something clicks back into place. It's humiliating when it happens in front of others. You're supposedly a tough cowboy, and you can't even walk without your body betraying you. Let's talk about your skin. Years of sun exposure have left you looking like old leather. Your face is deeply lined, creased with wrinkles that shouldn't be there for decades yet. The skin is tough and dry, almost scaly in places. Your lips are permanently chapped, cracked and peeling no matter what you do. Your hands are calloused, so thick the skin is like bark. You could probably hold a hot pan without feeling it. Sounds useful until you realize you've lost most of the sensation in your fingertips. You can't feel fine details anymore. Everything feels muted and distant. You've got permanent sun damage. Dark spots cover your hands and face. Some of them are worrying. Irregular shapes, darker than they should be. They might be harmless. They might not. You've got no way to know and no way to get them checked. You just watch them and hope they don't get worse. Some do. They grow slowly over months. You try not to think about what that might mean. The skin on your neck and the back of your hands is leathery and loose. You're not even old, but you look ancient. Your teeth are falling apart. Years without proper care, a diet lacking in anything nutritious, probably some deficiencies you can't even name. Your gums are receding, your teeth are loose. You wiggle one with your tongue and feel it shift. It's unsettling. One day you're eating jerky and you bite down wrong. There's a crunch. A tooth has cracked. Part of it breaks off. You spit it into your hand and stare at the fragment. That's not growing back. You've now got a jagged stump where a tooth used to be. It's sharp and cuts your tongue. The hole fills with food. You can't clean it out properly. It starts to rot. The smell is foul. Eventually the rest of the tooth gives up and falls out. You've got a gap now. You look like a brawler. More teeth will follow. Your hearing is damaged. Years of gunfire, storms, wind constantly roaring in your ears. You've got a permanent ringing, high-pitched and constant. It never stops. Some days it's worse than others. On bad days, it's so loud you can barely hear people talking. You have to ask them to repeat themselves. They get annoyed. You get frustrated. Conversations become difficult. You start to withdraw because it's easier than constantly asking people to speak up. The isolation deepens. Your lungs are probably not in great shape either. Years of breathing dust, smoke from campfires, whatever gets kicked up by the herd. You cough a lot. A deep, rattling cough that brings up dark, sticky stuff. You spit it out and don't look too closely. Your breathing is laboured after any exertion. You're winded easily. You used to be able to run if needed. Now you walk and get out of breath. Climbing onto your horse leaves you panting. It's embarrassing, but there's nothing to be done. Let's discuss the toll on your mind. You're not right in the head anymore. Years of isolation, boredom, discomfort and danger have worn you down. You're irritable all the time. Little things set you off. Someone chews too loud. Someone looks at you wrong. You snap at them. You're angry and you don't even know why. The anger simmers constantly just below the surface. It's exhausting being this angry, but you can't seem to stop. You're anxious, constantly on edge. Years of watching for snakes, scorpions, stampedes, bandits. You can't relax. Even when you're safe, you're tense. You jump at sudden noises. You scan your surroundings constantly, looking for threats. People think you're paranoid. Maybe you are. But when you've lived through the things you've lived through, paranoia feels like common sense. You don't sleep well even when you have the opportunity. You lie awake, mind racing, unable to turn off the vigilance. You're forgetful. Names, dates, conversations, they slip away. Someone tells you something important, and an hour later you've forgotten. You weren't always like this. You used to have a sharp memory. Now it's foggy and unreliable. Maybe it's the head injuries. You've been kicked, thrown, hit by branches. Maybe it's just exhaustion. Years of poor sleep and stress. Either way, your mind isn't what it was. You feel slower, duller, like you're thinking through mud. You're depressed. Not that anyone uses that word. You're just tired. bone-deep, soul-crushing tired. Not the kind of tired that sleep fixes, the kind that's baked into your entire existence. You wake up tired, you go through the day tired, you go to sleep tired. Nothing brings you joy. Food is just fuel. Work is just something to endure. The landscape is just dirt and sky. You used to notice sunsets, the way the light hit the mountains. Now you don't care. It's all grey and flat and meaningless. Let's talk about the utter lack of medical knowledge that makes every minor problem potentially serious. Nobody out here understands infection. You get a cut and it gets dirty, which is every cut because everything's dirty. The wound turns red, it swells, it gets hot to the touch. You know something's wrong, but you don't know what to do about it. Someone suggests packing it with mud. Someone else says to urinate on it. Neither of these helps. The infection spreads. Red lines start creeping up your arm from the wound. That's bad. Everyone knows that's bad. But knowing it's bad doesn't mean anyone knows how to fix it. You develop a fever. You're burning up, shivering and sweating at the same time. Your arm is swollen to twice its normal size. The pain is intense, throbbing in time with your heartbeat. You're delirious, mumbling nonsense. The other cowboys are worried. They debate what to do. Someone suggests cutting the arm open to let the bad stuff out. Someone else thinks you need to sweat it out. They pile blankets on you even though you're already roasting. You're too out of it to protest. You drift in and out of consciousness, lost in feverish dreams that make no sense. Somehow, miraculously, you survive. Your body fights off the infection. The fever breaks. You wake up weak and wrung out but alive. Your arm is still a mess, scarred and discoloured, but it works. You got lucky. Not everyone does. You've seen men die from infected wounds that started as nothing. A blister that got dirty. A small cut from barbed wire. Infections are killers out here, and there's almost nothing anyone can do except hope the person's strong enough to fight it off naturally. Broken bones are another nightmare. You fall off your horse and land badly. Your wrist bends the wrong way. You hear a snap. The pain is immediate and overwhelming. You cradle your wrist, which is already swelling. The hand is at an odd angle. It's definitely broken. Someone examines it, poking and prodding while you try not to scream. They declare it broken, which you already knew. They straighten it, which is agony. You do scream then. You can't help it. They splint it with 2 flat pieces of wood and strips of cloth. That's the treatment. That's all there is. You're told not to use it. How are you supposed to not use it? You need both hands to work. You do your best, favouring the good hand, but it's impossible to avoid using the broken one entirely. Every jarring movement sends pain shooting up your arm. The bones aren't setting properly. You can feel it. The wrist heals crooked. When the splint finally comes off weeks later, your wrist is misshapen. It doesn't bend the way it should. You've lost range of motion. It aches constantly, especially in cold weather. You've got a permanent injury now, a souvenir of a bad fall and inadequate treatment. Dislocations are common and horrific. Your shoulder pops out of its socket. Maybe you were pulling on something. Maybe your horse threw you and you landed wrong. Either way, your shoulder is suddenly in the wrong place. Your arm hangs uselessly. The pain is breathtaking. You can't move it. You can see the deformity, the odd lump where your shoulder should be smooth. Someone has to pop it back in. This is done by brute force. They grab your arm and yank, hard. You hear a clunk as it goes back into place. The relief is instant, but the pain lingers. Your shoulder is weak now. It might pop out again at any moment. You're terrified of it happening. You baby that arm, trying not to stress it. But work doesn't allow for babying anything. Hernias are an occupational hazard. You're lifting heavy saddles, hauling on ropes, straining constantly. Something gives. You feel a sharp pain in your groin. A bulge appears. That's a hernia, a piece of your insides poking through where it shouldn't. It's painful and alarming. There's no treatment. Surgery exists, but it's not accessible to you. You're stuck with it. You fashion a sort of belt to hold it in, pressing it back where it belongs. It works sometimes. Other times the bulge pops out, and you have to manually push it back in, which is as horrible as it sounds. You live with this for the rest of your life. Lifting anything heavy makes it worse, but your job is lifting heavy things. You're trapped. Dental abscesses are pure torture. A tooth goes bad. The root gets infected. A pocket of swelling forms at the base of the tooth. It throbs. It's a constant pulsing pain that radiates through your jaw and into your head. You can't eat on that side. You can't sleep. The pain is maddening. Someone looks at it and declares it needs to come out. They get the pliers. You sit down, gripping the chair. Someone holds your head. The pliers clamp onto the tooth. They pull. The pain is indescribable. The tooth doesn't come out. They pull harder. You're making sounds you didn't know you could make. Finally, the tooth gives way. It comes out, roots and all. There's immediate relief as the pressure is released. Then there's different pain, raw and aching. You rinse your mouth with whiskey, which burns but helps slightly. The hole takes weeks to heal. You avoid chewing on that side for months. Hemorrhoids are another joy. Sitting on a hard saddle for hours every day, combined with a terrible diet and straining when you need to go. You develop hemorrhoids. They're painful and itchy and embarrassing. Sitting hurts. Riding hurts. Going to the toilet is agony. There's no treatment, no cream, no medication. You just suffer. You try to sit differently in the saddle, which helps slightly, but makes everything else hurt worse. You're constantly uncomfortable in new and humiliating ways. You can't talk about it. It's too mortifying. You just endure in silence, shifting and wincing and hating your life. Eye problems are frequent. Dust and sun are a terrible combination. Your eyes are constantly irritated. They're red and itchy and watering. You develop an infection. Your eyelids are crusty and stuck together in the morning. You have to wash them open with water. Your eyes are gummy and discharge leaks out. Your vision is blurry. You're effectively half blind. You still have to work. You squint and blink and hope it clears up. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it doesn't. Some cowboys lose vision in one eye from untreated infections. They just adapt. Depth perception is off, but they manage. They have no choice. Kidney stones happen. The combination of dehydration and diet produces stones. You're riding along and suddenly there's a sharp, stabbing pain in your back. It radiates around to your front. It's so intense you nearly fall off your horse. You dismount, doubled over, gasping. The pain comes in waves. You're sweating and nauseous. You think you're dying. Someone recognizes the symptoms. Kidney stone. It has to pass. There's nothing to do except wait. You lie on the ground, curled up, moaning. Hours pass. The pain is relentless. Eventually, you feel it move. The pain shifts. You stagger off to relieve yourself, and there it is. A tiny, jagged stone that's caused unbelievable agony. You're weak and shaky, but it's over. Until the next one. Parasites are almost guaranteed. The water you drink isn't clean. The food isn't properly cooked. You've got worms. You don't know you have worms until you start noticing symptoms. You're tired all the time, more than usual. You're losing weight even though you're eating. Your stomach hurts. You're nauseous. Then one day you see something in your stool. Something moving. You're horrified. You've got worms inside you. There's no medication. Some cowboys try home remedies, eating tobacco, drinking kerosene. These don't work and often make things worse. You just live with the parasites, slowly being drained of energy and nutrients. You become gaunt and weak. Your eyes are sunken. You look like a walking corpse. Let's discuss the complete absence of anything resembling comfort or entertainment. Your free time, what little you have, is spent in exhausted silence or pointless activities. There are no books. Most cowboys can't read well anyway. Education wasn't a priority wherever you came from. You can sign your name and read simple words, but anything more complex is beyond you. Even if you could read, there's nothing to read. Books are heavy and delicate. They don't survive trail life. So your mind goes unstimulated. You can't learn anything new. You can't escape into stories. You're stuck with your own thoughts, which are mostly grim. There's no music except what you make yourself. If someone has a harmonica or can sing, that's the entertainment. The same songs over and over. You know every word, every note. They lose all meaning. They become noise. Sometimes someone tells a story. The same stories get told repeatedly. You've heard about the time someone nearly got trampled 15 times. You could tell it yourself now. But it's something to do. Something to focus on beside your aching body and empty stomach. So you listen politely and pretend it's the first time you've heard it. Card games happen occasionally. Battered decks of cards get passed around. You play simple games for matchsticks or pebbles because no one's gambling real money they can't afford to lose. Even then, tempers flare. Someone's accused of cheating. Voices are raised. The game breaks up in anger. It was supposed to be fun, but nothing's fun out here. Everything has an edge of desperation and frustration. You're all too tired and stressed to enjoy anything properly. Conversation is limited. Everyone's too exhausted to talk much. When you do talk, it's complaints. My back hurts. I'm hungry. This weather's dreadful. I hate beans. Round and round the same complaints because nothing changes. You're living the same miserable day on repeat. There's nothing new to discuss. No current events reach you. No gossip except about people in the crew. Who's got a bad cough? Who's limping? Who almost fell off their horse yesterday? Riveting stuff. You can't write letters. Even if you're literate enough, there's nowhere to post them, no way to send them. You're cut off. People back home have no idea if you're alive or dead. You have no idea what's happening with them. Someone could have gotten married. Someone could have died. You won't know until you make it back, if you make it back. The isolation is profound. You're alive, but you might as well be on another planet for all the connection you have to the rest of the world. There's no art, no music, no beauty. The landscape is stark and repetitive. Flat land, scrub, sky. Sometimes mountains in the distance. It's not picturesque. It's barren. The sunsets are colourful, but you're too tired to appreciate them. Everything is purely functional. There's no room for aesthetics. Your clothes are practical. Your gear is practical. Your food is practical. Nothing is made to be pleasing. It's all just adequate at best. You're living a grey, joyless existence where survival is the only goal. There are no celebrations, no birthdays, no holidays. You might not even know what day it is, let alone what month. Time is measured in how long since the drive started, and how long until it ends. Days blur together. You lose track. Someone mentions it's probably around autumn, and you realise you have no idea. The seasons change, but your routine doesn't. You just keep going, one day indistinguishable from the next. Relationships are shallow. You work alongside these men for months, but you don't really know them. Everyone keeps to themselves. No one shares personal information. It's not that kind of environment. You don't talk about feelings or fears or hopes. You talk about the weather and the cattle and practical matters. You don't make friends. You make work acquaintances. When the drive ends, you part ways and never see each other again. No fond farewells. Just a nod and off you go. The transient nature of it all means you never form real bonds. You're always alone, even when surrounded by people. There's no physical affection. No one touches each other except in anger or necessity. A hand on the shoulder to steady someone. A shove to get someone moving. That's it. You're touch-starved. Humans need physical contact. You're not getting it. You haven't hugged anyone in months. Haven't shaken hands. Haven't had any gentle, friendly touch. It affects you more than you'd think. You feel isolated in your own skin. Disconnected. The lack of human warmth makes everything feel colder. Let's talk about what happens to your sense of self. You're out here so long you forget who you were. You used to have interest, maybe. You used to care about things. Now, you're just a body that moves cattle. That's your entire identity. Cowboy. Not a person with thoughts and feelings and dreams, just a function. You catch yourself and realize you can't remember what you enjoyed before this. Did you have hobbies? Did you laugh? It feels like a different person. That version of you is gone. This is who you are now. A tired, dirty, broken man on a horse. You lose your manners. Civilized behavior falls away. You belch openly. You scratch yourself in public. You spit constantly. You swear as punctuation. When you do return to town, people are taken aback by how rough you are. You've forgotten how to behave around polite society. You're too loud, too crude. You make people uncomfortable. You don't mean to. You've just been out in the wilderness so long you've gone feral. Re-entering civilization is jarring. You feel like an animal trying to pretend to be human. Your standards have dropped to nothing. Things that would have disgusted you before are now normal. Eating food that's been on the ground. Drinking water with bits floating in it. Wearing clothes that are essentially rags. Smelling like something died. None of it bothers you anymore. You've adapted, or maybe you've just given up. Either way, you've become a creature of basic survival. Comfort and cleanliness are foreign concepts. You've forgotten what it's like to feel good. You only know variations of feeling bad. You develop superstitions. Out here, with so much beyond your control, you cling to anything that might help. You have a lucky hat. You always mount your horse from the left. You never mention certain things for fear of jinxing yourself. It's irrational, but it gives you a tiny sense of control. Other cowboys have their own superstitions. Nobody mocks them. Everyone understands. When you're this powerless, even imaginary control is comforting. You talk to your horse more than to humans. Your horse doesn't judge, doesn't answer back. You tell it your problems. Complain to it. Thank it for not throwing you today. It's therapeutic in a sad way. The horse doesn't care, but that doesn't matter. You need to voice things out loud. The horse is your only companion who's with you constantly. You form a bond, strange and one-sided. The horse tolerates you. You depend on it completely. It's the closest thing you have to a relationship. Now let's address the sheer amount of things that reek at any given moment. Your horse is a mobile smell factory. When it's been working hard, the sweat smell is overpowering. It's a thick, musky odor that clings to everything. Your clothes absorb it. Your hands reek of it. Even when you're away from the horse, you carry the smell with you. The saddle is impregnated with it. Years of horse sweat have soaked into the leather. On hot days, the saddle itself gives off a pungent aroma. You're essentially sitting on a warm, damp, smelly cushion for 12 hours. The cattle produce their own special bouquet. Hundreds of large animals digesting poor quality grass create an atmosphere. The smell of manure is constant. You're riding through it, around it, sometimes in it when the herd's tightly packed. It's everywhere. Dried manure crumbles into dust that you breathe. Fresh manure splatters and steams. The smell gets into your nose and stays there. You smell it even when you're not near the herd. It's burned into your nostrils. You'll probably smell it for the rest of your life. Your own body has become a source of impressive stench. Armpits are beyond redemption. The smell is sharp and acidic. Your clothes are stiff with dried sweat. When you move, you release fresh waves of odor. Your feet are legendary. Taking off your boots releases a cloud of funk that makes strong men gag. The smell is sour and rotten, like old cheese mixed with something that's died. Your socks could probably be classified as hazardous. They're crusty and damp, and they've taken on a life of their own. Washing them would probably disintegrate them entirely. Your breath is its own entity. Rotten teeth, poor diet, and the fact that you haven't properly cleaned your mouth in months combine to create breath that could strip paint. When you talk, people lean back. You're aware of it, but there's nothing you can do. Everyone's breath is terrible. It's just accepted. Conversations happen at a distance. Nobody gets too close if they can help it. Morning breath is even worse. You wake up, and your mouth tastes like something crawled in there and expired. The taste is furry and foul. You try to wash it away with coffee, but you just end up with coffee-flavoured terrible breath. Your bedroll has developed its own ecosystem of smells. It's absorbed months of sweat, dirt, and general body odour. When you unroll it at night, a musty cloud wafts up. It smells like damp dog and old gym equipment. You're so used to it you barely notice anymore. But occasionally you get a whiff and even you're impressed by how bad it is. The blanket is worse. Wool that's been repeatedly soaked with sweat and rain and never cleaned. The smell is thick and organic. It's the smell of something that's slowly decomposing. Which, in a way, it is. Cooking smells aren't appetizing. Beans boiling in a pot don't smell good. They smell like damp earth and something slightly off. The bacon, when you have it, smells rancid, because it is slightly rancid. It's been sitting in a barrel in the heat. The smell of it cooking is greasy and sharp. Coffee grounds dumped into boiling water smell burnt and bitter. None of this makes you hungry. It just makes you aware that you need to eat. The food smells like fuel, not like cuisine. Campfire smoke gets into everything. Your clothes, your hair, your skin. You smell like smoke constantly. It's not a pleasant wood smoke smell like a fireplace. It's harsh and acrid. Whatever wood you're burning isn't ideal. It's green or damp or some kind that produces thick, choking smoke. Your eyes water. Your throat burns. The smell embeds itself in your clothing. Even after you've left the fire, you carry the smell with you. Combined with all your other smells, it creates a layered effect. You're a walking scent profile of misery. Wet leather has a distinctive smell. When it rains and your boots, saddle and belt get soaked, they produce a dank, musty odour. It's the smell of something that should have been dried properly, but wasn't. The leather never fully dries out here. It's always slightly damp. The smell lingers. Your boots especially are culprits. Damp leather plus foot sweat creates a smell that's truly special. It's earthy and sour and penetrating. You can smell your own boots from a distance. Infected wounds have a particular stench. Sweet and rotten at the same time. If someone in the crew has a bad infection, you can smell it. The odour is sickly. It makes you nauseous. You try not to breathe through your nose when you're near them. But you feel guilty because they can't help it. They're suffering, and now they smell terrible too. It's just another indignity piled on top of everything else. When you have an infection yourself, you're hyper-aware of the smell. You wonder if others can smell it. They can. They're just too polite to mention it. Gangrene is worse. You've only encountered it once, but the smell is unforgettable. A cowboy crushed his foot. It got infected. The infection turned bad. The flesh started dying. The smell was overwhelming, putrid and gagging, like meat that's been left in the sun for days. Everyone stayed upwind of him. He knew. He could smell it himself. The horror in his eyes was awful. He died a few days later. The smell lingered in the area long after. You couldn't get it out of your nose for a week. Let's discuss tooth decay smell. Several men have rotten teeth. The smell comes from their mouths in waves. It's the smell of decay, of infection, of something fundamentally wrong. You're talking to someone and the smell hits you. You try not to react. You breathe through your mouth. But then, you can taste it, which is worse. You cut the conversation short and make an excuse to leave. You feel bad, but you can't stand it. Your own mouth probably smells similar. The thought is depressing. Mildew is constant. Anything that gets wet and doesn't dry properly grows mildew. Your spare shirt, your blanket, the canvas of your saddlebag. They develop dark spots and a mouldy smell, musty and damp, the smell of things rotting slowly. You wear the mildewed shirt because it's all you have. The smell follows you around all day. You're wearing decay. It's grim, but you're past caring. Everything's falling apart anyway. What's a bit of mildew? Stagnant water has a particular reek. Sometimes the only water available is a pool that's been sitting still. It's greenish and has things floating in it. It smells like pond scum and algae. You have to drink it anyway. You hold your breath and gulp it down quickly. The taste matches the smell. It's earthy and slightly rotten. You try not to think about what you're drinking, what bacteria or parasites might be in there. You just need water. You'll deal with the consequences later. Dead animals are encountered regularly. A cow dies. It lies there, bloating in the heat. The smell is monumental. It starts as a mild, unpleasant odor. Within hours, it's eye-watering. The body swells. Gases build up. The smell is sweet and rotten and so strong it's almost physical. You can taste it in the back of your throat. Flies swarm. Buzzards arrive. You have to move the herd away quickly or the smell will spook them. You're gagging, trying not to retch. The smell sticks to you. Hours later you can still smell it or think you can. It's traumatizing. Let's talk about the absolute lack of dignity in every aspect of this life. Privacy is non-existent. You're changing clothes near other men. Not that you change often, but when you do, there's nowhere to go. You strip down in front of everyone. Your body is exposed. Your scars, your bruises, your rashes. Everything's on display. You're self-conscious at first. Then you stop caring. Everyone looks equally terrible. Everyone's got infected bites, strange marks, and body parts that don't look healthy. It becomes normal. Just another humiliation you accept. Bathing, on the rare occasions it happens, is communal. You find a stream. Everyone strips off and gets in. The water turns brown immediately. You're bathing in shared filth. Someone's washing right next to you. There's no personal space. You're all just naked men trying to scrub off months of dirt. It's awkward. Nobody talks. Everyone stares at the water or the sky, trying to pretend this isn't weird. But it is weird. You're adults bathing together like children. There's no alternative, though. The stream is small. Everyone needs to wash. So you endure the embarrassment. Going to the toilet is a public affair. You walk away from camp with your shovel. Everyone knows what you're doing. They watch you walk off. They know you're squatting in the bushes somewhere. When you return, they know what you've just done. There's no mystery, no discretion. And if you're unwell, if you've got stomach troubles, you're making multiple trips. Everyone notices. Someone makes a joke. Everyone laughs. You're mortified, but you laugh too, because what else can you do? Your digestive problems are now group entertainment. Sometimes there's no time to walk away. You're on watch. You're riding. Nature calls urgently. You have to dismount quickly, move a few steps away, and deal with it while your horse watches. It's undignified. You're exposed and vulnerable. Anyone riding past will see you. It happens to everyone, so there's an unspoken agreement to just look away. But you still feel the shame. You're a grown adult and you've been reduced to this. Vomiting happens regularly. Bad food, bad water, heat stroke, hangover. You're bent over, retching. Others are nearby. They hear everything. The sounds, the smell. There's no privacy in your suffering. Someone might ask if you're all right. You wave them off. You're not all right, but you don't want company. You heave until there's nothing left. Your throat burns. Your eyes water. You spit and wipe your mouth on your sleeve. Then you get up and carry on. Nobody mentions it, but they saw. They always see. Crying is something you try to do privately, but it's hard to find privacy. Sometimes the misery is too much. The pain, the exhaustion, the hopelessness. You feel tears coming. You turn away. You walk off into the darkness. You let it out. Quiet sobs that shake your shoulders. You're a grown man crying alone on the prairie. It's pathetic. You feel weak. But the release is necessary. The pressure has to go somewhere. You cry it out, wipe your face, compose yourself. You return to camp hoping nobody noticed. Someone probably did. They don't say anything. Maybe they've done the same thing. Injuries are examined by everyone. You've hurt yourself. Someone needs to look at it. You're surrounded by men peering at your wound. They're discussing it like it's a curiosity, offering opinions, suggesting treatments. You're lying there, exposed and in pain, while everyone debates what to do with your body. You have no say. You're too hurt to protest. They poke at the injury. You grit your teeth. They do what they think is best. It hurts. You endure it because you must. Your body is no longer entirely your own. It's become a group project. Lice checks are humiliating. Everyone's got lice, but sometimes it gets bad. Someone volunteers to check your head. You sit there while they part your hair, looking for bugs. They find them. They comment on how many there are. You're being judged for your infestation level, like it's your fault. Everyone has them, but still, you feel dirty. They pick through your hair like you're a monkey being groomed. It's intimate in an uncomfortable way. You sit still, enduring the humiliation, while they remove parasites from your scalp. Weight loss is visible. Your clothes hang off you. Your ribs show. Your face is gaunt. Everyone can see you're wasting away. They comment on it. You've gotten thin. Are you eating? Yes, you're eating. There's just not enough food and too much work. Your body is consuming itself. You're aware of it. You don't need people pointing it out. But they do. They're concerned or curious or just making conversation. You're too tired to care. Yes, you're thin. Add it to the list of problems. Weakness is on display. You're struggling to lift something. Others notice. They have to help you. You're not strong enough anymore. You used to be. Now you're weak and shaky. Your muscles have wasted. You're embarrassed. You're a man. You should be strong. But you're not. You're feeble. Others pick up your slack. They don't complain, but you feel the shame anyway. You're not pulling your weight. You're becoming a burden. Sleep talking reveals things. You're exhausted enough that you talk in your sleep. You don't know what you're saying, but others hear. In the morning, someone mentions it. You were talking last night. What were you saying? They tell you. It's embarrassing. Personal fears or thoughts you didn't mean to share. Now they're out there. People know. You laugh it off, but inside you're mortified. Your sleeping mind has betrayed you. Nightmares are audible. You wake up shouting or gasping. Everyone heard. They're staring at you in the darkness. You're disoriented and frightened. You've just revealed your fear to everyone. You mumble an apology. Try to go back to sleep, but you're rattled. And now everyone knows you have nightmares, that you're scared. The tough cowboy image is shattered. You're just a frightened man trying to survive. Arguments are public. You snap at someone, they snap back. Suddenly you're yelling at each other. Everyone's watching. You're both being childish, shouting over something stupid, but you're too angry and tired to stop. The argument plays out in front of an audience. Eventually someone steps in or you both run out of energy. You sulk in opposite corners. Everyone saw you at your worst. They saw you lose control. The shame settles in later. You both apologize quietly. But the incident hangs there. Mistakes are witnessed. You drop something. You fall off your horse. You can't get a fire started. Everyone sees. Everyone knows you've messed up. They might help. They might make a joke. Either way, your incompetence is public. There's no hiding it. No pretending you're more capable than you are. Every flaw is visible. Every failure is shared. You're constantly exposed. Your inadequacies are community knowledge. Illness is obvious. You're sick. You can't hide it. You're pale or flushed. You're moving slowly. You're making frequent trips away from camp. Everyone knows. They give you a wide berth. Nobody wants to catch whatever you have. You're isolated even more than usual. You're visibly suffering and everyone's staying away. It's lonely. You need help, but you don't want to spread illness. So you suffer alone, in full view of everyone, but utterly isolated. Let's discuss the absolute unpredictability of danger. You never know what's going to hurt you next. You're riding along, mind blank, and suddenly your horse steps on a loose rock. The horse stumbles. You're thrown forward. You grab the saddle horn, barely staying on. Your heart is pounding. That could have been a broken neck, but it wasn't. This time, you ride on, shaken, knowing that luck won't hold forever. Every moment is potentially your last. You can't relax. The moment you relax is when something goes wrong. Flash floods are a threat you don't see coming. You're camped in a dry riverbed because it's flat and sheltered. The sky is clear. Then upstream, miles away, there's a storm. You don't know about it. Suddenly you hear a roar. Water is coming, fast. A wall of brown water surging down the dry bed. You've got seconds. Everyone's scrambling, grabbing gear, running for higher ground. The horses are panicking. The cattle are scattering. The water hits. It's powerful and full of debris. Branches, rocks, dead animals. Anyone caught in it is gone, swept away instantly. You make it to high ground, gasping, watching the flood rage through where you were just sleeping. Some gear is lost, maybe a horse, maybe a person. It's random. Luck decides who makes it. Lightning is terrifyingly random. A storm rolls in. You're the tallest thing on a flat plain. Lightning is looking for somewhere to strike. It could be you. Cowboys have been hit, killed instantly, or badly burned. There's nothing you can do to protect yourself. You can't outrun lightning. You just sit there, hoping it chooses something else. Every flash makes you flinch. The thunder is so loud it hurts. You're soaked and cold and terrified. The storm passes. You're alive. Pure luck. Next storm might be different. Falling is always a risk. You're climbing down a small slope. Your foot slips. You tumble. You roll down the incline, hitting rocks and bushes. You come to a stop at the bottom. You lie there, taking inventory. What's broken? Your ankle is screaming. You try to stand. You can't put weight on it. It's sprained or broken. Either way, you're in trouble. You're miles from help. You're in pain. You have to ride. You can't stay here. Someone helps you onto your horse. Every step the horse takes jars your ankle. The pain is constant. You ride for hours like this. By the time you stop, your ankle is swollen to twice its size. It takes weeks to heal, all because of one misplaced step. Horses can kill you easily. A kick to the chest can stop your heart. A kick to the head can crack your skull. You're behind a horse. It's startled by something. It kicks out. You see the hoof coming. You try to move. Not fast enough. The hoof catches your ribs. The impact is massive. You're on the ground, unable to breathe. Your ribs are broken. Every breath is agony. You lie there, gasping like a fish, certain you're dying. Eventually breath returns. Sharp, painful, but there. You've got broken ribs. They'll heal on their own. There's no treatment. You just have to avoid coughing, sneezing, laughing, or breathing deeply for the next month. Every movement hurts. You're guarding your side constantly. Sleeping is torture, but you're alive. Guns are dangerous in careless hands. Someone's cleaning their gun. They don't check if it's loaded. It goes off. The shot is deafening. Everyone dives for cover. Miraculously, nobody's hit. The shot went into the ground, but it could have easily hit someone. You're all furious. The person's mortified. They nearly ended someone's life through stupidity. Guns are tools, but they're also lethal weapons. One mistake, and someone's dead. It makes everyone nervous. You're constantly aware of where guns are pointed. You give armed people space. You handle your own weapon with extreme care, because you've seen how quickly things go wrong. Fires can spread. You're cooking over a campfire. A gust of wind blows embers into the dry grass. Suddenly there's a fire. It spreads fast. The grass is tinder dry. Flames race across the ground. Everyone's beating at it with blankets, throwing dirt. The cattle are spooked. They're trying to run. You're fighting the fire and trying to control the herd simultaneously. It's chaos. The fire is growing. The heat is intense. Your eyebrows are singed. Your lungs are full of smoke. Finally, you get it under control. The area is blackened and smoking. That was too close. The entire prairie could have gone up. You could have been trapped in a wildfire. Another near disaster to add to the list. Cliffs and ravines are hidden. The landscape looks flat, but there are sudden drops. You're riding in low light. Your horse stops suddenly. You urge it forward. It refuses. You dismount to see what the problem is. There's a ravine right in front of you. A sheer drop of 30 feet. One more step and you would have gone over. Your horse saved your life by refusing to move. You stand there trembling, looking into the darkness below. That would have been it. Broken neck at the bottom of a ravine. Nobody would have found you until morning. You pat your horse, shaken, grateful for its better sense. Quicksand exists. You're crossing what looks like solid ground. Suddenly, you're sinking. Your legs are stuck. You try to pull free, but it makes it worse. You're being sucked down. Panic sets in. You're shouting for help. Someone throws you a rope. You grab it. They pull. Slowly, you're dragged free. You emerge covered in mud, gasping. Your boots are gone, sucked off your feet. You're lucky. You've heard of people getting stuck alone. They can't get out. They sink slowly. Hours of struggle and fear before they're pulled under. The thought is horrifying. You avoid soft-looking ground after that. But it all looks the same. You're just guessing and hoping. Dehydration kills. You're rationing water. You're not drinking enough. You don't realize how dehydrated you are until it's serious. You're dizzy. Your lips are cracked and peeling. Your tongue is swollen. You stop sweating, which is a bad sign. Your urine is dark brown. Barely anything. You're in danger. Someone notices. They make you drink. You resist. You need to save water. They insist. You drink. It's not enough. You need much more. Over the next hours, you're forced to drink regularly. Slowly, you recover. But you were closer to death than you realized. Dehydration sneaks up on you. By the time you notice, you're in trouble. Dust storms are brutal. The wind picks up. The sky turns brown. A wall of dust is coming. There's no shelter. You pull your bandana up, turn your back to the wind, and endure. The dust is everywhere, in your eyes, nose, mouth, ears. You can't breathe without inhaling grit. You can't see. You're blind and choking. The wind is so strong it nearly knocks you over. You crouch down, making yourself small. The storm rages for what feels like hours. When it finally passes, you're caked in dust. Your eyes are crusted shut. You have to wash them open. Your lungs feel heavy. You cough up brown sludge for days. The cattle have scattered. Some have suffocated, nostrils and mouths clogged with dirt. It's a disaster, but you survived. Barely. Cave-ins happen if you're sheltering near rocks, unstable overhangs. You're taking shelter from sun or rain under a rocky outcrop. Without warning, it collapses. Tons of rock come crashing down. If you're underneath, you're crushed instantly. Even nearby, you can be hit by debris. Someone's injured. A rock hit their leg. It's mangled. The bone is shattered. There's nothing to be done. The leg is useless. They'll never walk properly again. All because they stood in the wrong spot at the wrong time. Let's talk about the moments when you question everything. You're sitting by the fire, exhausted, staring at the flames. You're thinking about the choices that led you here. Why did you become a cowboy? Was there ever really a choice? You needed work. This was available. Or maybe you thought it would be an adventure. Maybe you were running from something. Whatever the reason, you're here now. And it's nothing like you imagined. You thought you'd be free, independent, living a rough but honest life. Instead, you're a wage slave to a rancher you rarely see, working yourself to death for pennies. You think about the years ahead. How long can you do this? Your body's already failing. You're not even middle-aged and you move like an elderly person. What happens when you can't work anymore? There's no pension, no savings. You spend everything you earn on basic supplies and occasional binges in town. You've got nothing put aside. When you're too broken to work, you'll be destitute. You'll end up begging or dead. This is your future. It's clear and inevitable. The thought is crushing. You wonder about the people you left behind. Family, maybe. Friends. Do they think about you? Do they wonder if you're alive? You've been gone so long. You could go back. But what would you go back to? You've got no prospects there either. No education, no trade. You're stuck. This life is terrible, but the alternative isn't any better. You're trapped by circumstance and lack of options. The hopelessness is profound. You watch younger men join the crew, fresh-faced, optimistic. They think this will be exciting. They have no idea. You see yourself in them. You were that naive once. You want to warn them, tell them to leave while they still can. But you don't. What would you say? They wouldn't listen anyway. Everyone has to learn for themselves. So you watch them slowly break down. The optimism fades. The complaints start. They become bitter and tired like everyone else. It's like watching a slow death, the death of hope. You think about what you've sacrificed. Years of your life spent in discomfort and pain. Relationships you never formed because you were always on the trail. Experiences you never had because you were too busy moving cattle. What do you have to show for it? Scars, chronic pain, trauma, no wealth, no property, no family, nothing. You've given everything and received almost nothing in return. The trade was terrible. You were cheated. But by whom? Life? Yourself? There's no one to blame. This is just how it is for people like you. You hear stories about men who struck it rich, found gold, started a business, made something of themselves. Those stories feel like fairy tales. They're not for people like you. You're not lucky. You're not clever enough. You're just a cowboy. This is your lot. The best you can hope for is to survive long enough to stop working and die quietly somewhere. That's the dream now. Not wealth or happiness, just an end to the struggle. Sometimes you think about just walking away, leaving in the night, disappearing, going somewhere else, starting over. But where would you go? What would you do? You've got no money for travel, no skills except cattle work. You'd end up in the same situation somewhere else, or worse. At least here you've got a job. Terrible as it is, it's income. Walking away means starving, so you stay, not because you want to, because you have no real alternative. The monotony is breaking your mind, the same routine every single day. Wake up, ride, eat beans, ride more, sleep on the ground, repeat, forever. Your brain is understimulated and overstressed at the same time. You're bored, but exhausted. There's nothing to think about except your discomfort. Your thoughts go in circles, the same worries and complaints over and over. You're becoming dull. Your mind is atrophying. You used to think about things. Now you barely think at all. You just exist. A body going through motions. You're forgetting things, not just names or dates. Entire periods of your life are hazy. What happened last month? You can't remember. It was the same as this month, the same as every month. The days blend together into an indistinct blur of misery. You're losing your past. Without distinct memories, it's like that time never existed. You're being erased slowly. Soon there'll be nothing left except the eternal present of riding and hurting. You look at yourself in a rare mirror and don't recognize the face. That's not you. That's an old, weathered stranger. But it is you. This is what you've become. The transformation is complete. The person you were is gone. This haggard, broken creature is what remains. You feel a profound sense of loss, grief for yourself, for the life you might have had, for the person you could have been. But grief is useless. It changes nothing. You're still here, still suffering, still stuck. You wonder if anyone will remember you when you're gone. Probably not. You'll die on the trail or in some town. You'll be buried in an unmarked grave. No one will visit. No one will mourn. You'll be forgotten within days. Your existence will leave no mark. You might as well never have been born. The thought is devastating. Everyone wants to matter, to leave something behind. You're going to leave nothing. Your life is meaningless, just suffering that leads to oblivion. These dark thoughts circle your mind as you sit by the fire. You're depressed, deeply, profoundly depressed. But there's no help for it, no therapy, no medication, no one to talk to who'd understand. You're supposed to be tough. Cowboys don't complain about their feelings, so you bottle it up, push it down, ignore it. But it's always there, lurking. the crushing weight of pointlessness and despair. It's heavy. You're carrying it along with all your physical burdens. You fantasize about ending it, just walking off into the wilderness and not coming back. Or a quicker method. Your gun is right there. It would be easy. The pain would stop. The exhaustion would end. The endless, pointless struggle would be over. You think about it more than you'd care to admit. The only thing stopping you is... what? Cowardice? Hope? You're not sure there's any hope left. Maybe just inertia. It's easier to keep going than to make a decision that final. So you continue. One day at a time. Not because you want to. Because you haven't quite reached the point where you can't. Finally, let's discuss what happens at the end. After months on the trail, you reach your destination. The cattle are delivered. The rancher or buyer counts them, inspects them, negotiates the price. You're not involved in this. You're just labor. You wait around, exhausted and filthy, while business happens. Finally, the trail boss calls everyone together. It's time to get paid. You've been working for months for this moment. You line up with the others. One by one, men step forward and receive their wages. Your turn comes. The trail boss counts out coins into your hand. You count them yourself. It's not much. After months of brutal work, you're holding a pitiful amount of money. Is this it? This is what your suffering was worth? You want to protest, but what would you say? This is the agreed wage. You knew what you were getting into, except you didn't. You couldn't have imagined how hard it would be. No amount of money would be worth what you've been through, but this amount especially feels like an insult. You pocket the coins. They're heavy, but not in a satisfying way. Just another weight to carry. You've got to decide what to do now. Some cowboys are signing up for another drive. They need the work. They're already committed to the cycle. Others are heading into town to spend everything immediately. A few are talking about going home, wherever that is. You're not sure what you're going to do. You're too tired to think about the future. You can barely think about the next hour. You head into town with the others. The first priority is spending some money on basic needs. Bath, food, clothes. You've done this before. The routine is familiar, but this time something feels different. You're more exhausted than usual, more worn down. The brief comforts of town don't excite you like they used to. You know they're temporary. You know you'll be back out on the trail soon, suffering again. The knowledge saps the pleasure from everything. You have your bath. It feels good, but you're numb to it. You're going through motions. You eat a proper meal. It's delicious, but you barely taste it. You're disconnected, like you're watching yourself from outside your body. You buy new clothes. They feel strange, too clean, too stiff. You're uncomfortable in them. You're more comfortable in filth now. That's disturbing but true. You've adapted to misery. Comfort feels wrong. You head to the saloon. Might as well drink. Everyone else is. The place is crowded and loud. Cowboys from your crew and others. Everyone drinking and trying to forget. You order whiskey. You drink it. Then another. You're trying to feel something. The alcohol warms your stomach but doesn't touch the cold core inside you. You drink more. You're getting drunk but not happy, just numb and dizzy. Around you, men are laughing and singing. You can't muster the energy. You sit alone at a table, drinking steadily. Someone tries to talk to you. You respond in monosyllables. They give up and leave. You're not good company. You're a black hole of misery. You don't want to bring others down, but you can't fake cheerfulness. You're too tired, too broken. You just want to sit here and drink until you can't think anymore. Until the thoughts stop circling. Until the pain fades. You're chasing oblivion in the bottom of a bottle. Hours pass. You're very drunk. The room is spinning. You've spent a good chunk of your wages on alcohol. It seemed important at the time. Now you're just sick and sad. You stumble outside. The fresh air hits you. You lean against a wall. Your stomach lurches. You're going to be ill. You make it to an alley. You're on your knees, retching. Everything comes up. The expensive meal. All the whiskey. You're heaving and miserable. This was supposed to be your reward. Your time to enjoy the fruits of your labor. Instead, you're drunk and vomiting in an alley. It's pathetic. You eventually make it to a lodging house. You rent a bed. You collapse onto it, not bothering to undress. The room spins. You close your eyes. Sleep comes in fits. You're restless and uncomfortable, even in a real bed. You've forgotten how to sleep properly. Your body expects discomfort. The softness is confusing. You wake up multiple times, disoriented. Where are you? Why aren't you cold? Why isn't the ground hard? It takes a moment each time to remember. You're in town, in a bed. This is supposed to be good, but it doesn't feel good. It feels wrong. Morning comes with a vicious hangover. Your head is pounding. Your mouth is dry and tastes foul. You're nauseous. Your body aches, but differently than usual. This is alcohol-induced pain on top of your usual chronic pain. It's a special kind of misery. You drag yourself out of bed. You need water. You need food. You need to figure out what you're doing with your life. That last one seems impossible right now. You can barely figure out how to put your boots on. You check your remaining money. It's not much. You've spent too much on drink. You need supplies if you're going to take another job. Basic things. A new shirt since your old one literally fell apart. Some food staples. Maybe save a bit. The money doesn't stretch far. Everything costs more than you remember. Or maybe you're just broke. Probably both. You make your purchases. Your funds are nearly depleted. You've worked for months and you're already almost back to nothing. You hear about a drive heading out next week. They're hiring. The pay is the same. The conditions will be the same. You know exactly what you're signing up for. Months of misery. Pain. Danger. Terrible food. No comfort. Breaking your body further for a handful of coins. You should say no. You should find something else. Anything else. But what? You've got no other options. This is what you know. This is what you are. A cowboy. So you sign on. Again. The days before the drive depart are strange. You're in town, but you've got nothing to do. You're not working yet, but you're also not relaxed. You're in limbo. You wander around. You sit in parks. You watch normal people going about their lives. They have homes, jobs that don't destroy them, families, routines. It's alien to you. You're separate from normal society. You're a wanderer, an outsider. You don't fit anywhere. You're too rough for civilization, but too human to fully belong in the wilderness. You're caught between worlds, comfortable in neither. You think about the drive ahead, the early mornings, the saddle sores, the dust and sun and terrible food, the snakes and scorpions and risk of death, the loneliness and boredom and chronic pain. You know what's coming. You've done this before, and you're doing it again, by choice. Except, it doesn't feel like a choice, it feels like inevitability. This is your path. You're locked into it. There's no escape. This is your life until your body completely gives out or you die on the trail. Whichever comes first. The day arrives. You report to the meeting point. Other cowboys are there, some familiar faces, some new. Everyone looks tired already, and the drive hasn't even started. You mount your horse. The crew moves out. You're heading back into the wilderness, back to the routine of suffering. The town fades behind you. With it goes comfort, civilization, any semblance of normal life. Ahead is the trail, miles and miles of it, weeks and months of it. You settle into your saddle, your body already aches. Here we go again.